welcome to the latest episode of the Give My Head podcast with me, Tim McGarry, and my comedy colleagues.
Michael McDowell.
And Damon Quinn.
You know the drill by now, ladies and gentlemen. We discuss politics, art, culture, everything to do with Northern Ireland, because we're very fond of Northern Ireland. We get a wide variety of people. We have a very special guest we're absolutely delighted to welcome. The man, one of the few politicians people in Northern Ireland go, do you know what, he's all right. He's not a bad one. He's not that, and they don't swear when they mention your name. It is Swann MP. You're very, very welcome, Robin. Before we talk to Robin, we have to say a massive thank you to our partner for this episode, which is, of course, Phoenix Energy, who have been great friends to this podcast. Most people know Phoenix Energy for one simple reason. They deliver gas to over, do you know, I thought it was less than that, but over 250,000 homes here in Northern Ireland, reliably, safely, every single day. Do you have gas, Robin?
No.
Thanks, Robin. For goodness sake, Robin didn't get the memo. Michael has gas and
Yes.
he knows how great it is.
I do.
And there's a bit more going on behind the scenes, not just providing the gas, alongside keeping homes warm and showers hot and instant heat. They have got a dedicated team focused on energy transition, which is becoming a very topical hot issue. I think we speak of the world energy crisis at the moment. They're working on energy transition, working on things like renewable gases such as biomethane, and the clever part is this can be delivered through Phoenix Energy's existing alternative fuel ready network, which means they're adapting the system so their customers don't have to. So that's it. You don't even need a new system. They're adapting it to their new system. So if you want to know anything more about that, get ready for the future. Find out about what Phoenix Energy's transition work and check out the latest connection offers, which are very good. PhoenixEnergyNI.com. Phoenix Energy, give them a plug. And thank you very much, Phoenix Energy, for your wonderful continued support of this podcast. Phoenix Energy have been very good to us. They've supported a lot of our podcasts. And we have, as I say, a wide variety of people. Last week's episode, we had a guy called Vittorio Angeloni, a well-known comedian who I would recommend you listen to. He's going okay. But we have politicians, we have actors, comedians, writers, but we have a man probably best known for fighting with Van Morrison.
Well, I hope of more of a legacy than
You're feeling very dangerous.
not particularly more so than usual.
Robin Swann MP, past leader of the Ulster Unionist Party, but who hasn't been a leader of the Ulster Unionist Party? Anybody in the Ulster Unionist Party has been a leader. You were leader fairly briefly, were you, Robin?
I was leader for about 2 years, one of those spells, where we didn't have a government or the Assembly didn't sit, so it was, one of those challenging periods.
One of those many periods
Yeah,
where
one
we
of
didn't.
those, yes.
But you're most famous, I suppose, for COVID and being the health minister during the time. And you got a very nice reputation there. Have you just finished the inquiry there? Did everything go all right?
No, well, actually, the inquiry's still ongoing, and I think that's a part of the challenge in regards to what we've learned or what we will learn from the previous pandemic. So there's the Baroness Hallett broke it into 10 different modules that she talked about, chapters. So they think it'll finish hopefully in 2027. So the inquiry will last longer than the
But you'd
the
probably come
pandemic.
out of it all right, will you? Are you getting a slagging like
well,
everybody else?
No, I
or
think I'm getting the criticism I think that's fair and I deserve in
Right,
regards
okay.
to just how it wasn't perfect. No response was perfect because there's no instruction manual for it at that stage. So it was.
No, I was going to say, I mean, that must have been pretty for yourself being in the chair at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of pressure, I would have thought.
There was, but it was. I think it's one of those things. As you say, I've had many roles, political roles, but the health minister, I suppose, was one of the most challenging, but also one of the most rewarding as well at that stage. Department of Health, I found very different from any other department. Our chief medical officer, Sir Michael McBride, chief doctor, our chief nurse, Sharon McCardle at the time, is a nurse, chief pharmacist, chief social worker. Right. They're not just policy professionals, they're at the top of their profession as well. So when they were coming with advice, guidance, it just wasn't coming, this is something we've read, Minister, and you should think about it.
With Mike Nesbitt on here, who was health minister, is still health minister. Health minister, and it's the biggest and kind of the portfolio that's kind of the biggest, but also the hardest. You get a lot of criticism.
Well, where's
my granny sitting in ICU for 4 hours and all that?
Look, and it is because it's personal to everybody. Health affects, no matter what part of it is. It's social care, hospitals, doctors, GPs, pharmacy, all the rest of it. It affects everybody's life. But it's one of those things. When I first came into the post, I brought Michael McGimsey in. If you remember, Michael was the first Ulster Unionist health minister, and he came off with a line to me that I never forget. He says, in Northern Ireland, there's very little space between the bedpan and the health minister.
Right. Yeah.
And I was sitting there going, you know, what exactly? He says, no, he says, what you'll find is health minister in Northern Ireland, compared to everywhere else, if there's a bedpan that hasn't been empty, somebody will know somebody that knows somebody that has your number.
and is prepared to ring you.
And is prepared to ring you because that's the right thing to do. And I think that's what made the role actually personal as well, because we do have that connection. You know, it's not a big population, and it meant you were getting those personal problems as well as the bigger ones.
I come from a bit of a health background. My father was a surgeon and my mother was a nurse and my brother's a psychiatrist and all that. My sister-in-law is very senior and when I ask him about what's the state of the health service, they say a word that begins with F and is brief. And I go, is it really that bad? Is it?
Well, I think it has its challenges, but I think
there's a political answer. Yeah. I was trying to get you to say the F word, but you're not going to say it.
I think it's fixable. How about that? There you go. No, and I think that's because of the people that is in there. I think there's a genuine belief in it, and you'll know that as well. You know, once they get past that F word, they'll tell you the things that could work better, the things that do work better, and the things they've done, you know, in the past week. And I think, again, going back to that first conversation with Michael, it was always, he says, it's one of those political roles, you'll always go home at night knowing you've done something. Might not be big, might not be massive, might not be worth shattering, but you know you've done something, whether it was good or whether it was bad, but you knew you'd done something.
So how were you in the role before COVID struck?
About 6 weeks.
I remember that.
No, and it was one of those. You know, you spoke earlier about the party leader, so I actually took the decision. I stood down in that December, thinking, you know, we're not coming back. This thing's done, and we come back on the 20th of January. Our party executive met on the Saturday morning, and we decided, you know, right, we're going back into the executive. You know, so it was the assembly. I think the assembly was sitting at 2 or 2:30 that afternoon. But you know, we took the long strategic decision of deciding that morning if we were going in and out. Steve Aiken was later downstairs. So Steve came up to me and says, "Look, now you've taken a step back, but would you take on the ministerial portfolio, you know, just for a wee while to get things settled?"
Right.
6 weeks later,
global pandemic.
Global pandemic. So
good luck, Robin.
Yes, you done well.
How did you? You're from Kells.
Kells,
is where I'm going to express me. Ballymena,
just between Ballymena and Antrim.
I think I got that right. Well, I know you're South Antrim, but is it Kells in your constituency? Is it?
Kells isn't. It's just over, just over the border. But it's one of those, you know, a very small village. But you know, on one side, I live on the one side, Jim Allister's on the other, and David Ford's on the other. So it's quite a.
Oh right, ecumenical.
That'll be one word for it.
And Kel, what's your background then? Was there farming in your background?
Well, farm and family, and that's, I suppose that's where I got into politics. I got into organising Young Farmers Clubs of Ulster, which, you know, very, very active in rural youth politics with a small P at that stage. So got involved. Eventually got coaxed into the Ulster Unionist Party and ended up there. So that's.
I did a gig for the Young Farmers. They had their in Derry. They were putting on. They were Young Farmers drama group.
Arts Festival Gala.
Oh,
yes,
that was an evening of fun. They like a laugh. The Young Farmers. They do. They like the odd mineral as well. It was in the Millennium. Like Derry. That was a fun night. No?
Yeah, it was about a fortnight ago. There's just.
Oh, was that the yeah? Well, this was a couple of years ago.
No,
this was that was a feisty gig.
As long as you know your audience.
Well, I'm a suave city slicker, as you know, rather than a man of the toil and you know, look at those hands. Those are the hands of a creator, not softy. So that's your background, farming and stuff like that.
Well, I didn't actually. Well, never farm and family. So before politics, I was actually just oil and gas inspection company.
Oh, right.
You know, based up the airport road. So. Not far from here, so I was the Northern Ireland manager for it. So.
Right, and the Ulster Unionist Party a natural fit? Was there history to that, or was there any history in the family?
No political history in the family at all. So this was the first venture. But I say I was involved in Young Farmers at that stage. I was president here in Northern Ireland. Finished up as chairman of Rural Youth Europe, which was all the young farmers organisations across geographical Europe. So we went back and forth to Brussels. I'd been involved in the leadership team, and again, one of those things, as I became president, Stormont fell, so we went from having our own agricultural minister to development minister,
Very professional phone
Yeah.
call. So I had to have the phone on because, sorry,
Right.
apologies. That's.
Yeah, have a phone
I had to have the phone on for something else. What episode is this? 85?
Do you see me take the phone out, but do not disturb?
Apologies, Robin.
Oh, you're fine.
Very professional.
Aye, I was in a good flow there.
Yeah, you were born your arse off here. I got somebody phone me about 10 minutes in on David Robin.
Save us from this one. I've had those meetings.
You have had them. So you pick.
So look, I'm involved in seeing how this place needed to work and how it could work with our own ministers. So Northampton at that stage, I looked round for the party that was, I suppose, the best fit for me.
Right.
It's often said, if I'd wanted to be a career politician, the Ulster Unionist Party in Northampton wouldn't have
was
been.
going to say. I was going to say.
I'm going to say Sinn Féin.
Oh, well, I have that nature. I didn't get the green memo today. Right? That's right.
Yeah, but if you wanted to, because the DUP would have been, there are more jobs there. More,
There
more,
would have been, but look, that's part, I suppose. I wasn't into that. So, I grew up at the time where they did chain up our swings on a Saturday night because you couldn't use them on a Sunday, so that sort of mentality was still there in the background. So
Right.
it wasn't a side of politics that ever interested me.
And the Ulster Unionist Party is more liberal. Would that be a fair description, or is that? I mean, you're a very broad church.
We're a broad church, but look, even a church needs walls at times. But that's sort of, I think, unfortunately, in Northern Ireland, liberal almost seems as a derogatory term rather than something that actually does encompass a lot of our members and a lot of our political reps, where they're able to look across society, across the political divides, and saying, look, what's the right thing to do here?
Yeah, we were taught Irish land law by David Trimble. That's why I went into comedy. Several months of Wiley's Irish land law, and I met David a few times afterwards. Subsequently, and he obviously did the right thing in 1998.
Well, he did. Now, look, a lot of respect for David, and I think his loss is possible.
Were you involved in that stage with that?
I was. I joined in '97, so I remember those. I remember those meetings at the waterfront.
Oh, yes.
The executive meetings and walkouts and
and protests outside and the shouting and the John Taylors and all the rest of it. So I was there through all that, sitting very quietly for that. So
But he did a similar thing to Hume, though, didn't he? In the sense that he kind of sacrificed his own party for on the altar of peace.
for the good of everybody,
Because the poor Ulster Unionists got decimated then in the next election. Lost all our MPs, apart from our mate Sylvia Herm.
She stayed on, I think, about 2010 or so. No, look, was it the right thing to do? I still think yes.
Yeah.
I think the problem being is we didn't sell what we actually achieved at that point, or were able to build on it. So the others who took who took the Unionist vote at that stage, 7 years later, they're doing what we were doing there. And you see some of the, even some of the things that Sam McBride's bringing out now of, Gregory, Sammy, the conversations they were having. So on one side, standing outside our executive meetings, lambasting us for the things they were doing in private. So it's does it annoy you? Yes, but will it change anybody's political mindset now? No. It's
younger listeners mightn't remember that, but after the Good Friday Agreement, there was internal turmoil in the Ulster Unionist Party about decommissioning of various things. I'm going to tell you a quick story from Brian Kennedy, the singer. Do you know Brian Kennedy, the singer? He's a big friend of Van Morrison. He used to do it. Coincidentally, just a genuine. Brian told me this story himself. He said the Ulster Unionist Party had one of these big important meetings in the Waterfront Hall about whether or not they're going back into government with Sinn Féin or decommissioning, yada yada. But they booked the Waterfront Hall, but they had to get out because Brian was doing a gig. And they were literally being told, right, lads, you've half an hour to get out. Brian Kennedy, had to get us set up.
Yep.
And they voted to go back into government. And one Ulster Unionist delegate was overheard to say, this is the way it's going to be now in the new Northern Ireland. The Ulster Unionist Party bucked out in order to make way for a gay Catholic from the Falls Road. Well, I think tongue in cheek, but
I'm sure there was more considered than that.
So you joined the Ulster Unionist Party in '97. Do you have ambitions, or you're just thinking I'm going to?
I suppose I did have ambitions, but there was nothing. It was council. To be quite honest with you, I thought was more of a
And that's not going to pay your wages, though, is it?
No, well, at that time, no, it wasn't. It was still working. But, at that stage, and it goes back, if you look at those historical points, it was the 2011 election, whether it was council and assembly were in the same day, the same way they're going to be coming up. So I was put in as council candidate, but I was our second assembly candidate,
Right.
I was the sweeper, but ended up winning the assembly seat and losing the council seat.
Right.
So completely turned round, and that's
Right.
been it since.
And you're now MP for South Antrim, and you have a great reputation following on from COVID. As I say, how did you manage? I mean, everybody else was being lambasted, and I remember Stephen Nolan running around chasing people in garage forecourts for not wearing masks and all that sort of stuff. And but you seem to escape that. People kind of trusted you and liked you. I mean that across the board.
Aye.
I mean, because there was, we kind of, did we come together a bit, or did you force bang a few heads together?
Well, I think it was one of those. It was one of those incidents where being a sole Ulster Unionist minister in the multi-party executive actually worked.
Right.
Because they could all either hate me or like me. So I wasn't coming with having to worry about what another minister thought or what I was getting from party headquarters. One of the great things about, I think, the Ulster Unionist Party at that stage, they let me be health minister.
Right.
So there was no party coming in and saying, you have to weigh this up or not. So, I think it.
Are you suggesting other parties are slightly more centralised?
No, I think maybe other parties.
Can you think of one in particular
I think
where there's
other
control
parties
is-
have more command and control and structures.
But that's the problem with your party. Nobody can control it, including the leader or anything. It's like herding cats for you boys, isn't it?
Of course they can. It's all about consensus. So look, I think at that stage, I've not been able to be that, I suppose, an honest broker between the two and saying, look, this is what we need to do and this is why we need to do it. And this is my position in regards to that. So it allowed the others to have their own political wrangles and allow me to get on with the job.
Yeah. We interviewed Sam McBride on this. We've interviewed other journalists, and they remember the COVID thing. There was the anti-vaxxers and all that sort of stuff. And it got really, really. He said he literally got death threats for exposing some of these people, and it got really, really nasty. Did you get any of that? Did you get Did you get all the anti-vaxxer crowd and all that?
I suppose there's a couple of death threats through the whole thing in regards to went through the full process of the courts.
Really?
There's a couple of guys.
Oh yeah, well that's the problem now with being a politician. I mean, it's the whole online thing.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody can.
But I think the thing that I suppose in the cases that I'm particularly thinking of, everybody worries now about all these online anonymous trolls. These guys didn't bother hiding their identity. No, this
They were that
was
smart.
no. I think that they were just so
Yeah.
so convinced in what they were doing in regards to that. So look, going back to that time, I suppose that was one of the bits where you're actually standing going, is this worth this?
Yeah.
A wife and two
Yeah,
young
you have
kids
a
in
family
primary
and
school,
stuff,
so that's.
And it must have been. I mean, I remember when we all remember it going into it, and that there was a time where we really thought, or a lot of people were saying, we're going to get overwhelmed here. I mean, there must have been a scary period for you going. At some point, this is getting really touch and go.
And I think that was always the pressure we were seeing. Any of those decisions in regards to again going back, chief medical officer, chief scientific advisor, coming in with that, if we don't do this is where the numbers could go. This is so we need to interact. Now, the pressure always was, we'd seen those images of the hospitals in Italy,
Of course,
in Spain, people lying up corridors, things like that, and there's just no way we could have got there. We couldn't allow our health service to get there. It was under enough pressure as it was then without the pandemic thrown on the top. So we get through it because of our health professionals. I seen a side of health service workers that I think we still don't really appreciate just how much they gave, how much they sacrificed to get us through that at that time.
And it was very dangerous for them. I have a sister who works in ICU in Craigavon, or did work during that time, and it was pretty harrowing, some of the stuff she saw, it was...
And I think that's some of the things you mentioned the inquiry, and I hope that's something that does look how we look after our health workers from that side. Pay terms, conditions. Even that psychological support coming through that was.
Why were people so against the vaccine? What did they? I know there's always been historically there've even there've been fears about vaccines and control and things like that, but didn't get it. You know.
No, well, also, either did I, and I think we're actually seeing that playing out now when you look at JFK Jr. in the States in regards to where he's going on vaccines. Tried, tested medications. I think a lot of the concern was about how quickly it had been developed, how it was brought in, where it was brought in. And there's those who sort of say we forced it on people. It was never something that we did. One thing you'll not do in Northern Ireland is force anybody to do anything they don't want to do. So
it's one of our things, yeah.
So was there ways? Did we encourage people? Yes. Did we? Sort of, but. I just think it was something, and we were coming, I suppose, more towards the end of the pandemic at that stage. So those people who had been concerned, frustrated, or have objections to what we were doing, I think that was one of the things they were able to latch on to at that point.
Right.
Yeah. Do you enjoy being an MP?
I do.
It's good fun.
I think it's
I like when we Sylvia Herman, mate of ours, she showed us round it once.
Other people could do that as well. Like.
Who is your local MP?
Paul Maskey.
Does he come over much?
I don't think he'll be showing me around the bars of Westminster anytime soon. But
he can go to the bars. He just doesn't go to the flipping chamber.
No, but she said that when she joined, that Jerry Fitt was still there. Lord Fitt, and he showed her around all the bars in Westminster. That was like her introduction to.
No, look, I do enjoy it. Again, coming through all the machinations of storming up and down ministerial roles. I think any politician, most politicians in Northern Ireland, the pinnacle is to get to Westminster.
Yeah.
It still is where the levers of power are, where the decisions are made. Just being there.
But come on, look on the other side. Come on, nobody knows what you're at over there. You're gonna have a great time. There's nobody gonna go what the RMP doing over there. Nobody.
That's enough.
You're gonna have a great
That's
time.
enough.
But have you been to the White House for some politics?
Yes, when I was leader.
Right. And what was that like?
It was in and out in about an hour and a half, that sort of side of things. So look, at that stage, and I still think there is an opportunity for Northern Ireland to promote itself across America, across all those sections.
Yeah. But,
so what is it you want to ask?
No, that's it.
Did I meet Trump?
Who was president at the time?
He was president.
Trump was president at the time, but no, didn't get to meet him.
You didn't get to meet him?
Didn't get to meet him, no.
Right. What about Peter Mandelson? Did you ever get to meet him?
No, I never got to meet him. No. Different sphere altogether.
Taking interrogation.
Boris?
I met Boris a couple of times. I have met Boris. He was actually over when he was Mayor of London. I was Northampton at the time, so he was over in Wrightbus, looking at the time he bought all the... invested all the buses there. And then he came over during COVID and saw around there. I think it was their ambulance he went to at that stage and saying as well. So look.
Did you have him sussed as a bit of a spoofer and a bit of a chancer?
Look, he was a performer. There's no doubt about that in regards to what he was able to do and just how he got on with stuff as well. And then one of those, during COVID, those Cobra meetings, you could see he just was, whatever we're going to do, and
right.
How quick could he get out before Nicola Sturgeon got out and said it? That sort of. There was a lot of that.
Yeah. Were you pro-Brexit or anti-Brexit? But the Ulster Unionist was.
The Ulster Unionist Party campaigned to remain, but I was pro-Brexit.
You were pro-Brexit.
I was pro-Brexit. Right. I just thought Europe at that stage would had enough. I watched what David Cameron actually tried to achieve, and I think when Brussels gave him the two fingers, I thought, look.
How do you feel about it now?
Look, I probably would look at come back in again now in some sort of shape or form, because I think we've seen the damage economically. Between Great Britain and Northern Ireland as well. I don't think there was a plan for the Brexiteers to win.
No.
I think we saw that.
I think nobody expected either side.
No, and I think that's why Cameron went as quick as he did. And
Yeah,
I know what sort of this is.
Boris saved the day, didn't he?
Look, and it's still rumbling through Westminster at the minute in regards to.
It was a bit of self-harm though for a unionist to vote for Brexit, really.
Well,
because you could see that. Even I could see that the issue's going to be where that border goes.
Yeah, at that stage, yes, and I think that was one of the things that the Ulster Unionist Party actually argued. Jim Nicholson was our MEP at that stage, and he hammered it quite quite seriously in regards to that. But
What he would do, like he was an MEP.
but he's and we
He's on an even better time.
But at that stage, you're sitting looking at it, Cameron was there, and you sort of think, he'd been over there, he'd negotiated, okay, well, they get the mandate to go, he'd be able to sort of negotiate a half sensible exit at that stage. Yes, in favour of leaving Europe, but never the hard Brexit that some actually fought for and some still want 10 years later, even when we do see the damage that it's doing.
Like your neighbour, Mr. Alistair.
Couldn't possibly come.
Do you know him well enough? Would he come on this podcast? Because you said he had a good sense of humour.
Well, look, Jim and I got on all right, because we were in Northampton together at that stage in regards. We sat beside each other in Westminster in regards to that. So he has I think he's a guy, I enjoy his company in
We'll get
regards
him on.
to that.
Jim, if you're listening, I'm sure Jim does listen to this. Jim,
He's an intellectual guy.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Intelligent
We
man.
could have some law talk.
Well, we
with him.
remember Jim from the courts.
Right.
Legal careers. But
Did you win against him?
and it was never up against him.
I
Never up
was a
against
couple of
him.
times. Yeah. For
Did you win?
Commission? Yeah, of course, won.
Oh, he's
I win.
he's definitely coming on now.
He's Jim Alistair. He was defending the indefensible. No, I did actually win a couple of fair employment cases and stuff. He did a bit of employment law in the tribunals and stuff.
Well, it's fine. We're out of the game. We're out of law 30 years. I was actually back in court there. Not
Right, no.
I wasn't upset
No.
like that. I was just there helping a friend out who was doing a controllership application, but the judge remembered me.
Right?
Right? She was near retirement, and she said, when did you leave? And I said, oh, well, this April, 30 years out of the law this April. And she said something really interesting. She said, did you ever think, she's like, 30 years ago, did you ever think 30 years ago when you were leaving law that this place would be one of the safest places in the world compared to what it was like when we
Northern Ireland, yeah.
I mean, it was full on when we were there.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember like the build up a blast-proof wall around the High Court.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember being in Crumlin Road when it was rocket attack.
Yeah. No, and I think I suppose that's one of the things that attracted me to the Ulster Unionist Party. I grew up during, of
course you did.
I'm in my 50s, so that was the news cycle, and I still, it's hard to, over in Westminster when you're trying to, talk to Labour, Conservative MPs to where we were to what we were coming through. You used to turn on the news at that stage, when it's where the bomb had been, it's where the shooting had been, where something had done. And then I remember, you came into 98 and all of a sudden you've got newsreaders sitting there going, and yes, we have news tonight. And looking back at that, you're saying, do I want my two children to get back to that or anything like it? And the answer is no.
Of course not.
So the answer is in politics.
Yeah. Is there a huge depth of ignorance about Northern Ireland across the border? Which I said, we had a couple of English friends come over to visit us. And first time in Northern Ireland, no idea about anything, why is the streets painted red, white and blue there and green, white and orange there, and the woman didn't even know there was a famine in Ireland. That's but they'll go, oh right, yeah, they've heard of
Perfect
Materials. CV required.
Do they regard us as kind of a weird place of which they know little, a far off place?
I would say the majority, yes. Yeah. But there are still those MPs across both sides, across all sections actually of the party, who have a knowledge of this place, who have an understanding of it, and that's, I suppose, part of our role as Northern Ireland MPs is actually finding them and talking to them and getting them on your side. So, look, it's one of the, not probably mind me mentioning, Adam Juggy, Labour MP, Newcastle under Lyme, his wife's from Pargate,
right.
And then all of a sudden, Jimmy Stone, who's the Lib Dem Scottish MP for I think it's the Highlands and Islands, his sister-in-law lives in Templepatrick, so there is, the more you get to talk to people in the tea rooms or the bars, if anybody went into them, it always is.
Well, if you have to go, Robin.
Well,
it's a burden. It's for your constituency, I think.
But it's how often somebody comes up and goes, my whatever is from Northern Ireland, and a lot of them ex-service as well, who have served over here at some point. So it's about getting that affinity with them and getting them to understand where we are and what we need to do.
So you've got a Labour majority of like hundreds, and how do you then influence government policy as a separate.
Well, it still is a bit finding those individuals and talking to them. Of course, Keir Starmer was over here. He was policing board for a while, so he actually does get.
Of course, yeah.
He does get that, but it's getting through the barriers to get to him. The name, I think, and it was a loss losing her. It was Sue Gray. Sue understood this place when she was in.
She's the head of the civil service, wasn't she?
Well, she eventually got briefly for a period of time. So I think she's still there. She's in the House of Lords now as well. So people like that, it's.
Did she run a bar in Newry or something?
She did. She did.
Sue Gray ran a bar in Newry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is the one who became
Keir's
advisor and all that. Yeah, was briefly head of the civil service. So there are connections
You
there.
can tell we like our pubs.
Yes, that's one of those sort of.
There's a theme there. But the
See
same
who
as
sponsors the next section then.
Oh, yeah. Well, we have been sponsored by proprietors.
Macaronis Bar.
Macaronis Bar.
Great
Yes.
Fingers Bar.
Great bar. No, I mean that's we were talking about what do they get about Northern Ireland, but that was quite funny when Theresa May lost her majority. And she had to rely on the DUP. And I remember the British press going, who the hell is the DUP?
Yeah, I got rung up by programmes in England going, will you do some jokes about, we've never heard of this DUP, and what's this about?
What is DUP?
What's this about dinosaurs and stuff like that?
It was the most googled story, wasn't it, at that stage?
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, they held the balance apart, didn't they? For,
Yeah.
That were great days. They thought they were cock of the hoop those days, weren't they?
Well, look, at that stage you can make more enemies than friends, just in regards to how you use that power and how you used your influence as well. So.
Yeah. Do you think they'll never get that back again?
Well, look, I would hope if it ever comes to that situation, it's also Unionist MPs that hold it.
Well, just on the two things, are you coming back? The Ulster Unionist Party, you're kind of you're third or fourth. You're ahead of the SDLP, are you?
Yep, I think we're thereabouts. There's another there's a tug poll coming out in the next few days or so. So depends on the time of this podcast and the Belfast Telegraph.
Well, do you know what? We're doing our best. You can use this platform. But it seems that it's going the other way. That it's more TUV seem to be rising, DUPs going down a bit. You're holding steady, or
we're holding steady in that middle ground. We'd like to see some growth in regards to where we come out of that as well, claiming some.
You'd like a mate to go over to London with you, wouldn't you?
I would, look, it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference over there.
Yeah. And the other question I wanted to ask you was, when do you expect to see United Ireland? Do you think you'll see it in your lifetime?
No.
No?
No. No, no matter how good the health service is and how long I live, I don't think we're going to go there.
You see, if I was a unionist, I'm not a union, I think I'd be fairly chilled and relaxed as well. I know there's a lot of talk and stuff like that, but I think I'd be fairly confident.
No, I don't see the.
You don't?
Look, and I think even if you look at some of the narrative, the campaigns, they're losing steam. They're running out of their big crowds and their big names coming to speak to them as well. So the aspiration will be there for some. It's not one of mine.
It's not. But if it did happen, would you be very upset about it? If the good people of Kells decided, we want to, you think that's unlikely?
I think it's highly unlikely. It's not so as we were going back to the footpaths, Benton, you mentioned there earlier on, I remember we had a crowd of Welsh young farmers over at one stage and going through Kells. And the footpaths all painted, red, white and blue. And one of the Welsh guys looked at me and he says, "Well, look, isn't that posh?" he quite enjoyed it.
Yeah. But we had Sam McBride here, who's part of the author of that For and Against the United Ireland, and it's quite complicated. I don't know if you've read it, but it's not as simple as kind of.
No, it's not. Look, and Sam's book, we actually did a session or a briefing for them in Westminster. Claire Hanna and I co-sponsored it, which was one of those things. You can talk about John Hume and David Trimble. It's still, I think, one of those things that we can do as a party as well. We can have our differences with the SDLP, but when it comes back to that sense of duty and what we've done in the past, so we brought Sam over and he talked about. Now I can't even remember who co-hosted it at that stage as well, but they got Sam to argue his United Ireland piece as well. So a good event. Look, and we packed out the room, so there was a lot of interest in regards to I suppose that.
But you're not worried yet. You're
Not worried yet,
You,
no,
but
I
see,
just-
you're an MP. Yeah, I suppose sitting in the Dáil would be all right, but it wouldn't be as good as an MP.
Remember that. I remember, I'm not sure if it was a compliment or an insult, but I remember coming out of a series of talks, actually coming out of Stormont House, and Mary Lou, actually, it was party leader at that stage again, she looked at me and she says, you know, Robin, you've nothing to fear, you know, you'll be a good Fine Gael minister. No.
I think is that a compliment or not?
Well, that's it. Well, Stormont and Parliament. I've asked Claire Hannah this, which is better, Stormont or
Westminster. Yeah.
For crackways, you mean? Or
just generally?
Generally.
No, look, I think Westminster, in regards to, you know, having sat through the different machinations and positions in Stormont, you know, because of the level of scrutiny, you know, you've an issue that lasts 4 or 5 weeks in Stormont.
Right.
If you're still talking about the same thing 5 hours later in Westminster, you know it's a national emergency.
Right.
All right. Okay.
So, you know, you do it, you move on. You can see, actually, government wheels change
Yeah.
either before the statement's made or after the statement's made or after the
Right.
the legislation comes in. So you get to see it's
moving.
But see, if I took a Shinner view, I'd say, well, look, you've only, how many MPs have we? 18 in total?
Yeah,
18, and half of them don't go. But I mean, even if all 18 went and the 18 had one voice, you still wouldn't have any influence over there.
Well,
You wouldn't you couldn't hold the balance. Well, you might hold the balance of power in some extreme case, but basically you could
But
be
it's
ignored.
about winning. You can be ignored, but you're going to be ignored if you're not there.
Yeah.
You're definitely going to be ignored if you're not there, you know. So it's about, it goes back to that earlier point, you know, it's about talking to people. It's actually convincing them, showing, you know, Northern Ireland's here, and this is where your problem in England is actually playing out here in Northern Ireland. You know, I listened to her, the First Minister, you know, she's banging on the door of Number 10 to get a resolution for fuel prices.
Yeah.
So, you know, so if Westminster's so irrelevant, well, why bang on the door?
But if
know,
there was United Ireland, you'd have a bigger say. You'd have Unionists would have a you know, well, Northern Ireland would have at least a third of the seats or something.
Well, that depends on how they look at the numbers and how that thing comes about, but it's not something we have to worry about.
All right. So, what's your favourite Van Morrison hit?
Brown Eye Guard.
Brian. That was bizarre, wasn't it? I mean, he didn't cover himself in glory during that time, and I choose my words carefully because he can be
Litigious?
Yep, go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, Tim. Go for it.
Could he
This is
sue
Tim
me?
McGarry's view.
Yes.
Should he sue me for saying he's litigious? But he did. I mean, that people. He didn't cover himself in glory during that time. He was very upset that he couldn't do gigs.
Well, look, he had his view of what was happening at that time. I respect that for you.
Yep.
And he put out an album that even hardline Van Morrison fans would say, this is a bit
Weird.
not quite up to standard, Van. You know, it was kind of, you know, this is terrible and I'm not allowed to play gigs and, you know. But that whole thing in the Europa and bringing Paisley Jr. up and... Shoot. Robin Swann is very dangerous. You're not a dangerous man. You don't seem to me. You're the type of man who would need a Marks and Spencer's lasagna if it was 2 days out of date. Would you? You're not dangerous.
I don't show
You don't go. You're not a hang glider or
No,
anything.
I'm more Asda. not to endorse other supermarkets or
All the supermarkets in Southampton are brilliant, just in case.
You know, no, look, it was a challenging message he put out at that stage, but we got through it and we got over it.
Right. Did it end up in courts? Did it?
Yeah, it was
Yes.
resolved.
It was resolved.
It was resolved.
It was
It was resolved.
It was resolved amicably.
Right.
Pick at that scalp.
Well, sorry, I forgot. I knew there was some legal action. So, as an ex-lawyer, I just put both my feet in it and apologised to Mr. Van Morrison. So it was resolved amicably.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. And do you get free tickets to Van's gigs now? Do you get anything?
No.
Have you been to Van's gig? I mean.
Is this good?
I just, you know, it was a light moment in a time of. It was a light moment.
Well, maybe for you.
It was.
Well, that's true.
It was
resolved, Tim.
It was Ian Paisley Jr. to get up to join in, very
But
reluctantly.
he is reluctant to do it.
It is very. That is very
is
funny.
funny,
For those not watching, Robin Swann MP is maintaining a very dignified silence on the grounds that no comment cannot be misconstrued. Moving on. But that made your reputation in a certain, because genuinely I used to do jokes about kind of nobody really, our politicians always get a kicking, and they do. But you were one of those politicians. Everybody across the board went, you know, he's done something good here, and you were able to. I don't know how that you were able to make people feel that you were working for everybody and you had no other agenda but to work for.
Well, I think people were able to feel that because that's what I was doing, you know. And again, going back to that point, being the sole Ulster Unionist minister in there, you know, there was nobody on my shoulder politically telling me what to do. We were able to look at follow the science and follow the evidence in regards to what we were doing, you know. It was one of those strange things, you know. We were doing the twice weekly news bulletins, you know, from Stormont Great Hall, you know. So it's, you know, and when our first and deputy first minister had disagreements over something politically, it was always, Robin, you're up twice this week, you know. So I suppose I became the face of the executive at that stage, and it was about. How do I put this? None of my party press or department press. I can never hold a spin line. You know,
Right.
you know. It was always one of those. Here's the line, Robin, get you across. From walking from the door to the microphone, I'd have forgot it. You know, so it had to be. You know, if I was given a message, it had to be something that was in my head, in my language, that I understood.
That's like Damon learning his lines. Pretty much.
I think I could never learn. Like,
Here, I want to give a wee shout out. Ian Young is a friend of mine.
Yes.
Yeah. And a brilliant tennis player, by the way.
Yes, you kept telling us. We got an insider information from him playing tennis with Ian Young.
Yeah, well, not totally insider, but you know.
Michael McBride's brother used to run a very nice off license.
That's right.
Gap wines. Sorry, that's the Northern Ireland band thing. I go into the off license and go, your brother's been. You said your brother.
What's happening there?
And Ian was.
Yeah, it was right. No, it was right, and it was like, you know, and I was very conscious, having been a lawyer and not opening up scabs and doing things you shouldn't ask, questions you shouldn't ask him. You say, what's the score, and he would explain it very well and very lucidly where we were at and why things were banned. And one of the things I remember asking is why is there was a whole issue about sports being banned.
Yeah.
You know, not being able to play, and I said, but surely if we're playing tennis, like, it's right in the air, like, it can't. He said, well, there's an issue because it's basically about, it wasn't actually the sport itself, it was the travelling. The concern with football, for example, was everybody getting in the same car to travel to the venue. It wasn't the actual playing the sport.
Yes, but who won the tennis?
He's better than me. Far better than me. He's really good.
Tennis player.
He's really good.
You look back at it now, it is bizarre. What we went through, kind of very weird. No gigs or anything. You know, we had shows cancelled in the middle of the run. Do you remember? Yeah,
that's right. We had to come out of. We're playing Armagh. I had to cancel this.
Yeah, can we sue anybody? Can we get compensation for that?
If you knew a lawyer.
If you knew a lawyer, that's right.
Yeah, we were in Armagh doing a show, doing 2 shows, and just before the lockdown, and the first one there was a weird atmosphere. Do you remember? It was kind of because everybody.
Well, the weird thing about it was we had done Derry, London Derry, the night before, and it had been amazing, but it was almost that feeling you could tell, because funny enough, I'd gone over the border and it was already in lockdown, and it was just like, this is completely weird, this is like just nobody moving, nothing happening, and then came back to Derry and it was like party central, and I think everybody knew
it was
this
coming.
Was coming. Just, you know, and then when we got to Armagh
it was a full house, but only half of them had turned up, and there was a weird atmosphere, and then the next minute it was gone, and that was it, you know. It was kind of strange.
I just ask you a difficult question, right?
Is it about family?
If you weren't, no, I'm staying off. I've done that. If you were in England, if you grew up in England, and you wanted to go into politics, what party would you join?
Yeah, probably Labour. Probably Labour, depending on where I was.
Jeremy Corbyn's Labour?
No. More the Tony Blair, Keir Starmer Labour, you know, that sort of.
New Labour?
Aye, well, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is close to the part of the Conservative Party at this moment. So there is that
old Conservative Party.
That's
opposed to the Reform.
So I look, even for the Ulster Unionist Party, I would be towards the left of the party in regards to some of our stances up there, but probably.
Right.
Yeah.
And have you bumped into or met Mr. Farage yet?
Well, Mr. Farage sits in their own front, so
Right.
you meet him occasionally whenever he appears.
Does he not turn up at all?
He's not there.
No, he's not there. He doesn't. He's too busy in Clacton, going around helping his constituents. Oh, sorry, I mean Washington, or even he's a bit scunnered now by Trump. And it's a good crack. I mean, do you enjoy it? I mean, you go to the Prime Minister's question time and all that, but then Northern Ireland questions, and there's 3 people left in the chamber.
Well, for Northern Ireland questions, it's usually before Prime Minister's questions, so they all come in.
Right.
To get their seats for Prime Minister's questions. So it looks full, but it's, they all read out their prescriptive questions in regards to that. No, look, Prime Minister's questions is the theatre of our democracy.
Yeah.
In regards to that. So just that banter.
So much of it actually is done in the chamber, and much of it is behind talking to people in the corridors or committee level.
The majority of it's outside the chamber.
Yeah.
The chamber is, but yes, is there still? And I suppose it comes to my point of view. I can go in and listen to a debate and decide what way I'm voting.
Right.
Whereas the rest of them are all whipped in regards to what way the parties are going to go. And you can see them all coming in. What am I voting? Is it yes or no? Never mind what the subject is.
Yeah.
Where am I going? And
what do I think about this?
Or you see some of the other ones coming in and going, well, if he's going over there, I must be over there. That sort of way.
Right.
Yeah. Oh no! Look, there's a lot goes on behind the scenes. Northern Ireland Affairs Committee looks at a lot of the detailed stuff. So I got a seat in that there recently as well. So it's it's how the place works. It works more behind the scenes than it does in the chamber.
Shinners are never going to turn up, are they? Don't they? They're never going to.
Well, you see them about. They
knock about.
They are there. We had the meeting there a couple of weeks ago. You remember the whole kick-off about heating oil. So Dara Hughes, who's the Sinn Féin MP for Urian Armagh, wasn't it? So he appeared, so it's all MPs from across.
See, this
the
is where
nation,
Northern Ireland politics has gone wrong. I don't even recognise it. I used to know every single politician and the assemblyman and MP. And
that's because they used to be older than us.
Yes, used to be older than that, but they were bigger persons.
He's born in 1971. Remember 1971?
You born in 1971?
I was born in 1971.
Oh, God, Robin, that's the most depressing thing I've heard all morning night.
I remember 1971.
Ulster 71.
Yeah, common joy.
Right.
You're only a young thing.
Aye, only a
Good man. What do you do to relax? You into football, golf?
No, look.
Hurling? Big thing in Northampton. Well, no, you're Southampton. The big lot of hurling in Southampton.
Well, I think I do have that claim to fame. I think I'm the only unionist politician or minister that ever threw a ball in to start a GAA match.
Oh, did you?
I don't know.
Good man.
Ballinderry All-Stars.
Right.
Had a fundraiser when I was minister. And they asked me, probably a bit like this show, they asked me to come and then were completely surprised when I said yes.
No, we wanted you. What do you do to relax?
No, look, get into the house, wife and kids, just switch off in the house.
Right.
There's nothing.
Well, can you switch off? You're at Westminster, you're big debates and Gulf Wars and all sorts of things happening, and then you come home and you go, somebody in Kells needs new drains, and somebody.
That's always been part of the job. That is the switching off when somebody needs a new drain compared to what's going on in Westminster in regards to that. So, look, I suppose one of those things, I like my TV. I like the old TV shows.
Right. Give me a headpiece, that sort of thing.
No, the older ones.
Well,
Rumpole of the Bailey, that Sharp, all that sort of, completely no underlying political message in it whatsoever.
Right. That's how you relax then. Rumpole of the Bailey.
Rumpole of the Bailey.
That's the way younger people go. What then? That's you can stream it now, can't you? Rumpole, can't you? Liam McKern, yeah.
That's a good show.
It's a good show.
Do you go out to gigs or anything? Do you like music or you go?
No.
No?
Look, it's one of the I was never into that sort of side of things.
Here's some pipe bands, no?
Aye, well, you've Googled it, aye, it's all right.
Yeah, I Googled it, yeah.
No, I used to be in a pipe band years ago.
You see, some music.
Aye.
Did you? Oh, you played?
I played bagpipes.
Oh, good.
Purely marching band, purely 12th day, black day stuff,
Right,
sort of side of
okay.
things. So.
Couldn't be very relaxing in the house playing a pipe.
No, well, that's where I actually met my wife. So
Is it really?
she played the drums, aye.
Was that right?
Aye, so.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you could raise a racket like
aye, quite a duet.
I did a couple of gigs for the Peelers, and they pipe you in.
Right.
Indoors, and bagpipes
That must be
indoors,
very loud.
in not very big rooms.
Right.
Very nice, but it's kind of
Nice reception.
Yeah.
Aye.
So if we brought you a set of bagpipes, you could
Oh,
give us a wee
aye,
tune.
aye. Jesus loves me or something.
Are you a member of the loyal institutions?
Of
are you?
course, yes.
Oh yeah,
Oh, aye.
both of them, or all of them,
All
or
of them.
There's three. Is there only three? There's A-Ball, Apprentice Boys, Orange,
And
Black
Yes,
Institution.
aye, yep. Oh,
Three. You're a member of all three?
Yep, I always have been, yep.
We've
Like Comforter.
we've a good mate up in Derry, Billy Moore.
Yes.
We did a thing about the siege of Derry and whether Lundy was a traitor or not.
Right.
Don't think he was. I think you're burning him for the wrong reasons.
Yes,
I don't want to burst your bubble. You really need to cancel that whole thing in December. It's wasted. You're wasting everybody's time. He's been completely maligned. He doesn't deserve it.
I would change quite an narrative and an insult.
But we had a great time. We filmed up there for the long and the short of it with our good mate David June. You know David,
Yep,
don't you? Yeah.
David.
I don't want to bring up height issues because that's not a thing to do, obviously. But I have David Hume and Olivia Nash. Do you get fed up with people? People make jokes about your height, or you get fed up with it, or do you kind of?
I suppose it's one of those things. Well, not saying I used it to my advantage, but it's a good opening line every now and again to be able to use it. So it's not something I was ever conscious of worried about.
Right. Okay.
Because I always grew up with it.
Yeah, poor Olivia Nash. I think we counted up. How many jokes have we made about her height?
God,
About
countless.
25,000, I think. And David Hume. Yeah, that's how we got David came to me and said, because we did a documentary about Ulster Scots with him, a great guy, and met David Hume, and he came up with the title, The Long and the Short of It, which works brilliantly because I'm sure everybody does know that The Long and the Short of It is the best history show on BBC. New series starting very soon, me and David Hume, and David's, it's about your, maybe it's about your height. And he came up with the title, and the BBC went, that's brilliant. What's it about? That's brilliant. Doesn't matter, 6'4" guy having a row. I go, yeah, and it works really well. But he takes it in good heart, and he packs a punch as well, and he stands up for himself, David.
That's nice. Nice history.
Yes.
Box.
Well, there's a new series of The Long and the Short of It coming out. We don't know when yet, but we've filmed 4 episodes of The Long and the Short of it. I forgot to mention. By the way, I have a tour on. I forgot that. No, I know. Never mind. Phoenix Energy. Go to Phoenix Energy. They're brilliant people. I have a tour. I should be promoting. It's not an insult to you, but it's called The Height of Nonsense.
Oh, right, okay.
It's The Height of Nonsense because I'm 6'4". I'm talking about nonsense, and I'm on tour at the minute. Link below, isn't that? Yeah, link below. I'm on tour all over Northern Ireland, and
50 minutes of the pub.
Have I done this before? Is that 50 minutes already?
Yeah,
But we did jeepers. Robin, we that's flu. Is there anything else you want to tell us? Your plug, because normally we have guests who want to plug things or something. But you're an MP. You're not allowed to plug anything.
No,
Can you plug South Antrim?
I can plug South Antrim.
Where's the best place to go in South Antrim? Where's the absolute height of South Antrim? Are we talking? Or where are we talking? Carrickfergus?
Well, they're saying that's in East Antrim, no. Thanks for doing your research.
Right, okay. So where's South Antrim then?
Sorry. Across the top of Lough Neagh and down the right-hand side. So Toom, Antrim, Ballyclare,
right.
Randallstown. So.
Randallstown, Ballyclare. Right, okay. Ali Ford territory.
Yes. So if he gives you free tickets for his show, do you have to declare it?
Depends on the value and the worth.
The value and the worth.
Sorry. Sorry,
That's all we have time for in this episode. Well, you can't come and see me in the lyric because it's sold out. But we're hopefully getting another one, in which I will. Do you like a bit of comedy?
I do like a bit of comedy. Yeah,
right. So. Okay. You see, well, I think you'd like my show. I do a few height jokes, but not very many. That was about. It's about my mother. She never swore.
You're right, okay.
And the worst thing she could say is that when she got upset about something, that the height of nonsense was the kind, which is a very nice way of saying it.
All right.
So it's a kind of
swearing. All right,
she
okay.
never
That's a
swore
mechanism.
at all. So it was kind of and there's a lot of nonsense happening at the minute politically in the world. Just
a bit.
Just a bit. And Northern Ireland is an oasis of peace and calm, and thanks to people like yourself.
We're not being blockaded right now, are we?
Well, I don't think so. How many days a week are you over there? Do you do?
I usually go over on a Monday and
Right.
home either on a Thursday or a Wednesday.
And you have a wee pad over there.
Wee
a week?
pad over there,
right?
a wee,
And is it am I paying for that?
Yes,
You-
yes, it's
right.
probably the size of this. So.
And do you get to socialise over there? Is there lots of gigs and
It's,
meetings and
There's a lot of meetings. Look, and
wine and cheese parties?
I look the way Westminster works. It runs to 10 o'clock on a Monday night and 8, half 8 on a
All right.
Tuesday and a Wednesday. So by that stage,
Right.
I'm ready for a lie down and a cup of tea.
Right, okay. Well, Robin, thank you very much for joining us on the Give My Head
Yes.
podcast. If you see Jim Alistair, tell him we're looking at him.
Yep, will do.
In a nice way.
Yep.
In a nice way, by the way.
Look at you.
There's lads looking you. No, those days are long gone. Tell him we're very happy to have a chat with him. Really appreciate you coming in. I know it's a bit late, but thank you for everything you did during the COVID,
Right,
because
thank
it
you.
was appreciated. And I think your reputation will go before you. And I'm sorry for mentioning that other thing. Can we cut that out? No, can we get Van Morrison? Van, if you're...
There's somebody you'd like you to meet.
Thank you very much for listening to this particular episode of the Give My Head podcast. If you like and subscribe, well, thank you once again to our wonderful sponsors, Phoenix Energy. Go to phoenixenergyni.com and thank you very much. Mr. Robin Swann, MP.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.